welcome to Two's Camping, Two's Country, the first one in the series. Oh, there were no vacancies in any hotels. You tried them all. And I guess, you know, if I've got a camp, and it's only for one night, I can manage. Where are you going to sleep? In the car. Right. Okay. Oh yeah, show them your new chip. Show them what you can do. Tell them where we are. And whilst you're at it, tell them what's going to be in the programme. I'm busy. You haven't seen any tent pegs, have you? Well, I suppose if we are camping, at least we've got the weather for it. Mind you, looking at those clouds, I reckon we could have a bit of anything, so prepare yourself. Over there is Pen y Fan, which means top of the peaks, and it is. That is the highest mountain in all of the peaks around here, 2,900 and something feet. And that is where they used to put the beacon, and they would light it to warn of invasion, and it could be seen in 14 counties. And that's where the name Brecon Beacons actually comes from. The Beaker tribe, who were Bronze Age people, used to like burying their dead up in there, and they were called the Beaker tribe because they used to bury their dead in beaker-shaped vessels. And you're bored already? The first item in the first programme of the new series, and you're bored? Go on, look at the cows then. This is the town of Brecon, or is it the city? Because it does actually have a cathedral. It also has a castle, and I'm clambering up its outer wall at this very moment. It was originally built by Bernard Newmark, who was one of William the Conqueror's men, in 1090. He used the stone from a local Roman fort to build himself his castle. It was then occupied 300 years later by the local lord, a lad called Henry, who in 1399 became Henry IV. And he successfully held it against Owen Glendower, and not many people can say that. It was the locals that pulled it down in the end, because they were so tired of civil unrest that they thought, well, the way to get rid of it is to pull the castle down. And they did. And as you can see, it's now next door to the Castle Hotel. That looks nice. You did actually try and book us in there, didn't you? I said, didn't you? Yeah, I'm sure you did. Are you sure that this is just round the corner from that reservoir? We seem to be in the car for ages, and I'm sure we've gone off this map. Well, just press your chip, will you? You see? It's miles away. I told you were going the long way. This is Inniskedwin Ironworks. And there have been ironworks here, some say, since the Roman times, and most definitely since the Elizabethan times. And this very ironworks produced cannon and shot for the Napoleonic War. Can you imagine it all going on in here? Banging and crashing and all that smelting and all the rain pouring in through the open roof. Well, it's been like this since about 1940, when it finally stopped producing iron. But its boom time was around the beginning of the 1800s, when David Thomas, a local lad, came up with hot blasting iron. And that's where you use anthracite coal. And it was incredibly successful. His fame spread. In fact, it spread all the way to Pennsylvania in America, where they also had a lot of anthracite coal, and they persuaded him to emigrate. And so he did. He went to Pennsylvania and opened up furnaces over there. And in fact, he was largely responsible for the iron that was used for the whole of America's Western Railway as it shot across the country. And no, that is not the Brecon Beacon. Although, actually, I mean, it is a beacon, and it is in the Brecon area. But in truth, it's actually from the European Unity celebrations of 1993. And that's another thing that you don't find too much anymore. Bears. especially bears with yellow paint on the paws. This is Craig y Nos Country Park. Craig y Nos means Rock of the Night, which is just up there. And this park is actually the gardens from Craig y Nos Castle over there, which was bought by Adelina Pate, a famous opera singer in the late 1800s, who turned this into her gardens and did it all up. What I don't understand is how the bears managed to land with all 4 feet at once. This is good. Sign here, it says, dogs welcome, but owners must be on a lead throughout the park. I didn't bring one for you, did I? That is Craig y Nos Castle, although it's nothing more than a Gothic pile, really. Adelina built a little theatre inside it, and she opened it on the glorious 12th, 1891, and performed works from La Traviata and also Faust. She even let some of the Welsh peasants, as she called them, in to watch at the back. This was her pine plantation, and she would walk through here in the morning, treading on the pine needles, which would release an aroma that would clear her nasal passages, so that she could sing out loud. Those are the pine trees she planted. As you can see, they've grown a bit. They still have a lovely smell. This is a beautiful 40 acres. Gorgeous. Would you like me to sing some Faust for you? All right then, come and have a look at this. How's about a bit of trout fishing? This is beautiful. See, you've done it again, haven't you? We've gone all the way over that map, and now you brought me all the way down this map. I never know where I am. You'd better explain to everybody exactly where we are. Right, now we know where we are. Let's have a look round it. This is Tretower Court and Castle, and as you might imagine, it takes its name from a tower, the tower, and we'll see that in a moment. First of all, let's go into the hall and have a look at that. Built in 1630, this particular bit, and it gets older as we move further up through the hall. It goes back to the 14th century. There's a bit of a do-on today. Lavi Sifri has organised a sort of musical day, so we'll try not to disturb then. You can have a quick look. Yeah, refreshments, forget about it. Come on. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of the place. It was built by a man called Picard, who was the protege of a Norman called Bernard de Neufmarche. And the Normans came up here soon after the conquest, and he chose this bit, Picard, as his plot of land because it was at the junction of 2 roads, and he built himself a motte and bailey, and it was passed down. If you go any further you'll fall backwards. It was passed down from son to son to son to son for hundreds of years, and those sons changed his motte into a stone keep, and then another stone keep was built on the inside of it, and it remained here as an important military stronghold until in the middle of the 15th century, and then it became a house. And yes, there is a beer tent, but we've got lots of other fascinating places to see, not beer tents. This is fabulous. This is St Martin's Church at Cumyoy near Abergavenny, and it's known as the Leaning Church because it keeps slipping down the hill and it's twisted and leaning all over the place. If you come, they've built these things to hold it up. If you come down here, I shall show you just how ridiculous the lean is. Yes, I think that's a wildcat actually. It seems to have 5 toes on its paws. Now I'll go through here, and if I stand straight, like so, do you get any idea about the tower? Leaning? They had the cross stolen from here, a big stone cross from the 9th century, and it turned up in an antiques dealer's in London. A woman spotted it, she reported it to the police, and they brought it back, and the people at the church said, "Oh, we didn't know it was missing. Look at this. holding up the tower, and another one round the side, and then you get some idea of the bend. Now this is well worth looking at. Crickhowell. As you come over, count them. That's one. This is number two. I'll tell you why later. Crickhowell gets its name, that's number three, from Crwg Howell. Howell, a bloke's name. Crwg means cairn, and it's an old cairn which overlooks the town. Crwg Howell, Crickhowell. It's a beautiful place, and its buildings span some 7 centuries. The oldest one being the castle, which was built in the 13th century by a Norman called Sir Grimbald Paunchfort. Wow! What a name! Various people had it after that, and Roger Mortimer had it, and he was locked up in the Tower in London, and he was freed from it by a man called Alisby, which is why the castle is now called Alisby Castle. He named it after him and gave it to him. And how many did you get up to? The reason I asked you to count all of these is there's a bit of a trick with this bridge, because if you look at the little inlets on one side of the bridge, there are 12, and if you look at the inlets on the other side of the bridge, should you be able to get across without being run over, there are 13. It's one of those mathematical mysteries. See? Isn't this lovely? Beautiful. This is the High Street. Castle Street's down there. Lovely little markets and all sorts going on. And there's the delightful Bear Hotel. Which reminds me, do you know that just near here there's a whiskey distillery? There is. Welsh whiskey. Now, we could either go there or we could go pony trekking. What do you think? No contest. Well, there really was no choice, was there? I mean, you don't get to do this every day, do you? Pony trekking in the Brecons. Actually, there are about 20 or so riding centres in the area, and we're riding Jack and Charlie from Trans-Wales Trails, and people come from all over the world to ride here. At the moment they've got people in from Sweden and from Germany and from Switzerland, and we're off up the side of this mountain. Whoa a minute, Jack, whoa a minute, whoa boy, whoa. You what? How far is it? Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? We just enjoy ourselves, enjoy the beauty. Come on, walk on. Listen, I'm really sorry about that shortcut being a long cut, but I mean, you can't take a map on a horse, can you? I don't know about you, but such a sore behind. I'm starving as well. Have you got anything to eat? Oh, good. What have you got? Yeah. Irish stew. And have you got a can opener? Don't believe it. Right. Are you really going to sleep in that car? You must be mad. I'm going to bed. Good night. Yes, there's no point in knocking on a tent. I'm not dressed yet. It's not easy in one of these. Whilst I'm getting dressed, you tell them what we're doing in this part. Get in there. I'm going to enjoy what? And why have you moved the car? Oh, I am so stiff sleeping in that tent. Aren't you? Aren't you? Oh. Well, I'll tell you what I could do with some exercise to loosen myself up. Yeah, I know, yeah. What are you on about? Anyway, this is Llantoni. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. And this is the priory there. And I know that how you pronounce that, or at least I think I know how you pronounce that, is Llan Dwy Nant Hondu, which means St. David's on the River Hondu, which is just over there. Now this dates back to the 12th century. And when they came here, they found a former religious site which was dedicated to St. David from the 6th century. So they called this St. David's in honour of that. Lovely priory, in lovely condition, and well worth a visit. This turret lies just northwest of Brecon, and it belongs to Gaea Roman fort. And if we're continuing our Welsh lesson, I is the and Gaea is fort. Follow me and I'll show you around it. It was actually quite an important fort, built in AD 73 and then turned into a stone fort in AD 140, because it supplied other forts all over Wales. The roads spread off from here. There were 500 Spanish cavalrymen based inside this fort, and it covers just about every bit of this field. There's a gate over there, there's a gate there, there's a gate there, and there would have been a gate where the farm is. And really it's quite remarkable that there's so much of it left, because if you remember, Brecon Castle was built out of this fort. One of the reasons you get so many settlements and Iron Age forts marked on the maps in Wales up on the hilltops is because Iron Age man was no fool. Down here, the lowlands were covered with forestation. And up there, he could work the land because they had a more temperate climate and the land up there was better in those days. Plus, of course, he had the advantage of being able to look out. So they were ridge people who travelled along the ridges and lived up there. Another thing about Wales is there's water, and plenty of it, and there's lots of myths to go with the water. Now up on Penny Van, the hill, there's a pool called Devil's Pool. And it's said that if you throw a stone across it, the devil will reach out and catch it. If you are strong enough to throw a stone right the way across the pool, the devil will take you within 7 days. So, most people become rather limp-wristed. Right, well, let's see how the Welsh is going on. I shall translate for you. Near this spot was killed our Prince Llywelyn in 1282. And they also do it in English on this side. This is Kilmerry, just west of Bulthwells. And this is where Prince Llywelyn met his end. You know that he used to put the horseshoes on his horse round back to front, so that when he was running away or galloping away, the people chasing him thought he was going in that direction. But I'm afraid even that didn't save him this time, because he was betrayed. They caught him, they cut off his head, and they took it to London to display it. And he was the last of the natural-born princes of Wales. Of course, ever since then, the Prince of Wales has actually been an Englishman. Some would say a bit of an imposter, but there we go. I bet you just think this is a lump of rock, don't you? Well, it's not, you see, because this is a very, very big lump of rock. Right. Now, you mentioned before there was something that I was going to really enjoy. I want you to take me to it now. Do you need a map? No, you don't need a map. You can do it yourself. Go on. Are you sure this is the right road? Down here, this is It's what? It's got something to do with the past and the present. Right. We'll have to see if we can get in. Oh, there we go. You're absolutely dead right. There is something fascinating in here, in this mess. I shall show you. You've got to come round here. It's through the... It's got nothing to do with food. It's over here. Come on. There are 14 messes on site, each unit having its own one. This is just one of them. And this is what's so interesting in this one. The camp was built in 1940. It was an artillery training ground. And prisoners of war helped put it together. German and Italian prisoners of war. They were clearly getting homesick because they painted these murals on the walls, straight onto the walls of the building. They say that the browns are actually from gravy browning, but I don't know how true that is. And this one is kind of Italianate, so perhaps this was the Italian prisoners. They don't actually know who the artists were. They haven't been able to track them down yet, which is a shame. But maybe you know. If you do know, you could let us know, and we'll let them know. So, that's the past. What about the present? I don't understand. What are you up to? I suppose you think this is funny, don't you? Well, it may not look much, but it feels an awful lot from here. Here we go. Well, that's the first one. Push your arms out so you really got a good pull when you move. That's the way.
Bit more pull. Go on. Go on, a bit more.
Nearly there.
Go on. Just a bit more. Let's just make sure.
That's it. Swing on.
Oh, thank you for the encouragement. Oh. As fine as I am. Oh, sorry. No, I'm not sorry at all. Thank you. Watch yourself. Is that enough? Sit across. Now that is it. There's your rope. Now, take me back to the hotel. I mean the tent. And you better have some dry clothing and a towel. Yeah, come here. Listen, never ever again. I'm aching in places where I didn't even know I had places. And that's not a towel, that's a face flannel. Now look, whilst I pack, you tell them where we are next week. And give me your phone, because it's ringing. Thank you. Hello? Yeah, the Castle Hotel in Brecon, hi. What? He left his toothbrush in room number 3.